Hello and welcome to what is actually 3.5 weeks later after Estrid's 64k. I'm still on cloud 9 about that, and I don't think we told you in the last video because we didn't know either, but Estrid also won the performance formula, so she won her class and she got her first ever little trophy. So thank you so much to the Leicestershire and Rutland group and the Avon Valley team. It was lovely to receive that as a prize, and a surprise prize in the post. Her first ever little trophy. So yeah, she won her class, which is quite impressive because the other horses in her class are quite experienced. There is always the thing with the performance formula is the more experienced horses will probably present quicker because they don't really care about grades and the heart rate is taken into account for the performance formula. But I'm not going to take that away from Estrid because she did incredibly well. So she had 2 weeks off, completely off, doing nothing but lounging about in the field, and then I brought her back into work, and this is week 1.5. We're in week 2 basically of back training, and we have got 3 weeks to go until hopefully we attempt an 80k. We'll see, you never know. If we get there, we get there. If we don't, we don't. There's always next year. But this is our first decent training session since. So we're going to our favourite spot. We're going over to Anslow, to Poplar's Farm Equestrian, to use their farm ride. I'm hoping to do 16 kilometres. For Estrid at the moment, her training is very much 2 days on, 1 day off. And one of those will be like a more difficult training session, and one of them will be more like balance strength, like a less intense training session, just because she doesn't really need to do the high intensity work yet, and there's lots for her to learn still, and it's not just about her getting fit. So most of our training sessions are 50% walk still, that's slowly increasing the trot. Canter is probably not even 10% at the moment, and that won't change until next year. But today it's going to look like we're doing quite a lot of canter, but in terms of percentage of kilometres and time, it won't be that much. I'm trying to teach her, here they are, hello guys. I'm trying to teach her how to go slowly and trot uphill, and how to trot in a controlled manner downhill, which she is starting to get. That was Tizzy's secret weapon, being able to trot downhill, wasn't it, Wizzle? Why are you wearing it like that? This is an interesting look you've got going there. Should we sort you out? So Estrid's training isn't quite how I wanted it to be in an ideal world because of my work commitments and because of just general life and doing things other than ponies. I've said a lot today, I'm really sorry. It's actually annoying myself. So rather than what I would normally do is every 2 weeks to 10 days do a really nice long, low intensity but long distance, ride on the weekend, I haven't been able to do that. So we've actually done 2 shorter but higher intensity training sessions after work in the week, which seems to have worked all right. I'm not going to be changing how I'm training her from the 64k to the 80k. She had plenty of juice in the tank. She could definitely have gone out and done another 16 kilometres, and I think we could definitely go slower as well, and that would give us a little bit more energy to continue. So training's not going to change. It's been a mix of kind of 10 to 15 kilometre medium intensity, so 50% walk, 40% trot, 10% canter twice a week, and then poles once a week, schooling once a week, and then a nice long hack every 2 weeks to 10 days. So that's how we've been doing it at the moment, and I think that is how we shall continue on a 2 days on, 1 day off when I can. It has so happened that I've had to do 4 training sessions in the week She's had a Wednesday off and then the weekend off, and that seems to have worked well too. And I would have been so rigid in the past with my training, but actually now I'm quite flexible. This is meant to be a hobby, this is meant to be fun, and there are other things I would like to do with my life, and I am lucky enough to be able to do them. So I think I've got quite a good balance, and Estrid seems pretty happy with it, and the results are very pleasing. So I'm not going to change that for this year, but maybe next year I'll schedule my life to not have so many weekends away before what is my long-term goal for the year. So yeah, so I'm just gonna brush this pony. It's been so nice this summer not having to brush off wet mud all the time. Haven't had to get out my mud brush in a long time. Load her up, take her to Poplars, and I'll bring you along for one of our higher intensity training sessions for the week. Ta-da! We have time travelled. See? If only we could take the 20-minute journey out and just pop here. I'm doing it again. Why am I saying so much? I do not know. I do apologise. So we're going to do some interval training today. Now, lots of people say that you shouldn't really interval. Well, not that you shouldn't. That continuous training is more important for endurance than interval training. I think both have a place, and it really depends on what ride you're going to. But the majority of rides in the UK, it is intervals. You walk for a bit, you trot for a bit, you've got good canter stretches, and then you're walking for a bit. So maybe not interval training as the classic sense of quite short, high intensity intervals, but intervals as in we're not doing a continuous gait for a very prolonged period of time. If you're doing a nice flat competition where you're going to canter most of it, then yes, you do need to do continuous work. But I look at the rides that I want to do that season, and I try with the things that I have around me to train accordingly. Obviously I don't have big mountains anymore, which makes me sad often, but because I would love to be back on some mountains training, because they are the best training grounds. But nevertheless, so today we're going to be doing some intervals, walk, trot and canter, mainly trot and canter. Are you ready? What have you done here? Nothing, it's just a leaf. Okay, I'll see you when I get on. We're on board. What are you looking at? Estrid loves to have a little just stop and ponder about the world, don't you? We start off with just a nice long walk. I walk down the first hill, do a slow trot up the first hill as well. So walk down the first downhill, trot up the first uphill, and then we'll start doing some canter. And then on the second lap, it's just a jump. We see it every week. On the second lap, we are going to trot down the downhill. Good girl. So yeah, our usual training. Not that you'd know it, because we're spooking at the thing that we see every single week. Okay. The big sigh, Estrid. Come on. You can walk or poop. I've seen you do it. Someone is very cross about having to trot. She's like, I've got used to cantering this now. You've got to trot the first one. When Estrid wants to go faster, she flings her head to the left. Always the left. body, so she's quite tricky to hold all together, especially as we haven't got a super strong core yet. But we're getting there, aren't we, Estrid? And for me, it's all in my seat, so I like tilt my pelvis back a bit, lean my shoulders back a bit, and slow my rising, so that we're kind of taking more. That is so good, Estrid. We're taking more weight back, taking some weight off the forehand, and that stops the front legs from sliding out so much. Good girl. Nice rhythm. And I want like quite, no, don't get sassy because you want to go faster. You're funny. She's like, come back. Come back. Good girl. And what I want is quite short strides. I don't want long strides that are going to slide out from underneath her, which is what she struggles with. She loves big, long, fast strides, don't you? This is hard work for you. But with Estrid, you can't give much contact because she gets furious about it. Steady. That massive grass arena, and that's where they do the dressage part for the carriage driving. They have like the carriage driving assault course. I don't know what they're called. I should geek up on carriage driving. Do they call it an obstacle? Do they call it a feature? Is it an assault course? To me it looks like an assault course. But yeah, they've got some really good carriage drivers here, haven't they, Estrid? You haven't seen a carriage yet though. I do try and not come here when they're training, to be fair. Relax, you sassball. Hey, relax. And this is why we don't canter for the first 10k of a ride, because you get too excited. It's coming, I know. Go on then. Good girl, that was better. That's what we want. A nice, quiet transition. Okay. Less of your fire breathing. We try and trot up big hills, Estrid, because we want to conserve energy, maintain a steady heart rate, all that jazz. Tiz will tell you all about it. Steady. I have two options at Poppers, and I call it the short route and the long route. And the short route just misses out this field and going through the paddocks and stuff. And because I do so many laps, I like to not disturb the liveries too much, so I do the short loop a few times, and then I'll do the long loop to finish. If I need to go further, then I will do like long loop, short loop, long loop, short loop. But try and not disturb the ponies in their paddocks too much. The light is beautiful, and you're actually shiny, a shiny grey. Nice little water to cool down, and then we are going to pop in this little pond, water jump, cool off your feet a bit, and then untack and go home. I mean, I complain about the journey, but actually I'm not complaining, because it is good to get her out. And if I had this kind of facility at my own yard, I'd probably never go anywhere. Good girl. In the middle, please. Well done. Well done. Cool off time. See? She's like, I'm stuck. Actually, that's a lie, she wasn't really good. She was moderately well behaved. Let me get out the stats of our session. So we did, hold on, 34 minutes walk, 18 minutes trot and 10 minutes canter. So that is a pretty normal split for us. She did alright. She was very spicy, but she always is a little bit spicy when she's like not been in the swing of things. She's definitely a horse that thrives on routine. We've got one more week, I think. Yeah, it's 3 weeks to go. Yeah, maybe. One more week of proper training, and then 2 weeks of tapering off, and then fingers crossed, another competition. Yeah, you're a good girl. She says kind of. Kind of.